I got thrown out of a bar in New York City. Now, when I say I got thrown out of a bar, I don't mean somebody asked me to leave. We walked to the door together. And I said, bye, everybody, I gotta go. 6 bouncers hurled me out of a nightclub like I was a frisbee. Those big old bouncers that go home every night, watch Roadhouse and beat off. You know what I'm talking about? Patrick Swayze's hitting another guy.
There are some
For wearing a hat. I walk
into
a bar with a hat on. This guy real pissy goes, took off the hat. I'm like, what's the deal? He goes, I'll tell you what the deal is. This area wear hats. We're trying to keep them out of a club. I'm like, oh, really? The only way we could tell down south is if they have their hair cut like yours. And he got all pissed. But he walked away, and I took the hat off, and like an hour later, I'd been drinking, and I forgot. You ever forget? Happened to me. I put the hat back on. The guy comes over to me. Now, I'm between 6'1" and 6'6", depending on which convenience store I'm leaving. I weigh 235 pounds. This guy comes over to me, poking me in the shoulder with 2 fingers, says, you're out of here. I'm like, I don't think so, Scooter. And I was wrong. They hurled my ass. And then they squared off with me in the parking lot, and I backed down from the fight because I don't know how many of them it would have taken to whip my ass. But I knew how many they were going to use. It's a handy little piece of information to have right there. Overkill. Well, they called the police because we broke a chair on the way out the door, and I refused to pay for it. And the cops showed up, and at that point, I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability.
Damn.
That's funny.
The cop
That
says,
reminds
Mr.
me of
White,
the
you are
homies.
being charged.
That just reminds me of the homies. Like,
Shut up. There's just those moments where you're just like, shut up. Just stop talking. Let's go. Easier said than done. And I've seen it happen and play out so many
and you're
times.
just like, yo, let's just get out of here. Like, it's gonna be all good. And
yeah.
they're like, no.
Nope. One more word. They got to get the last word in.
Tell me this: have you ever been in a situation where the homies actually beat the bouncers? The bouncers are like, they're undefeated most of the time.
I think it's more of just strength in numbers because typically, like he's saying, well, let's just put this out there. Usually if you're a bouncer, you kind of know how to handle yourself. You're typically,
You train typically.
a bigger guy or have some background and experience, not to mention that you're used to tussling with drunk folks. So, you typically are going to have more experience than your average person that's just drunk acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
That being said, we did have some homies that were wild as hell that were always getting in fights, big dudes. So I've kind of seen some scenarios, but to be real with you, most of the places that we went, we were, just straight up degenerate alcoholics. So we were going out all the time. But, the way that we would roll, we would make friends with the bartenders and the bouncers. So what would typically happen is that if somebody started pressing us or starting shit, automatically the bouncers would be like, yo, that's the homies. And they would just get our back. Yeah. So it would typically work out in our favor, not the other way around. It's not like we were the ones getting kicked out because we usually tipped well. And I, being honest, like my homies would get into fights, get into brawls. I had been known to get into, some situations, but I usually try to stay away from it because, I'm a smaller guy. So, you know what I mean? I'm really not trying to fight.
Yeah, like
although I will tell you a story about what happened to me outside the Ritz one time. I don't even know if I've told you this. I probably did in some capacity, but
yeah, I was just thinking about all the bars I've been in and out of because of rap music.
Yeah.
Like we're always, when we were on the come up on Underground, we're performing at bars. And I just remember seeing so many people take L's. I've never seen them take a W against the bartenders. Like
yeah,
ever.
the bouncers.
Like, my bad, the bouncers. And I was just thinking of that, like, damn, that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
I've even seen some fool get so mad. Well, actually, I didn't see this. This was a story of a story, but this happened. It was in the paper here. But this dude, I think, got so mad because he got kind of roughed up.
Yeah.
And then he came back
Came
with
back.
a knife, and they clapped his ass in front of the club.
That happened at the strip club at
In Denver?
Yeah.
Oh.
When the homegirl was working up Shotgun Willie's.
Yep.
Yep, they got him.
Clap back.
Yeah,
All right.
I think yeah.
Charged with drunk in public. I was like, hi. I was drunk in a bar. They threw me into public. I don't want to be drunk in public. I want to be drunk in a goddamn bar, which is perfectly legal. Arrest them. Well, he didn't arrest them. Instead, they call in for my arrest record. There's some good news. Satellites are linking up in outer space. Computer banks at NASA are kicking on. There's a telegraph in Ritz, Texas going beep 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 This part takes a while. Shorthand. Beep. Now, I told you that story to tell you this story. When I was 17 years old, I was arrested for being drunk in public. Seemed to be a pattern. If you knew Morse code, you would already know that. And one DWI, which was a bogus charge because it turns out they were stopping every vehicle traveling down that particular sidewalk. And that's profiling, I believe. And the drunken public charge in Fritz, the arresting officer, who I had literally known all my life. You know what I mean? This guy lived 4 doors down from me in a town of less than 400 people. We've met. He takes me to jail. When we get there, he asked me if I have any aliases, and I was just being a smart ass and said, yeah, they call me Tater Salad.
That's where this comes from. Okay.
17 years later in New York City, I'm handcuffed on a bench with blood coming out of my nose. This cop goes, are you Ron Tater Salad White? You caught me. You caught the tater. You can take down those roadblocks now. I call my son Tater Tot. And Poot.
Tater. You got 2 stories in one.
Damn.
Because people are like, yo, react to Tater
I got
Salad.
thrown out of a...
React to Tater Salad. I'm like, I think that was just it.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah. Unless there's some...
No, I've heard that before. Like, I knew that was kind of like a catchphrase of his, but I've never seen this bit before, so I didn't know that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And it's wild because they do ask you for, like, what your, like, aliases. Do you have any aliases or nicknames?
Are you
I mean, I
affiliated
regret
with
to
a
inform
gang?
you guys that I've been in this situation many, many times, but they do ask you, have you been to gang? Do you have any tattoos, right? And that's exactly why, so that if they ever catch you again, they can, like, look and be like, oh, yeah, he's got a tattoo of a dragon on his upper left arm.
What was your alias? Slick Anus?
Big Willie. In the pen, they call me Big Willie.
Oh, Lord. Astroglide Diddy. All right.
Lord have mercy.
Hey, man, I'm just spitting facts over here.
To be honest, man, I was trying to go through my memory banks, and I'm sure that I've been thrown out of a bar at some capacity, but typically I was like a happy type of drunk. Like I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I was that person who would go try to befriend people, make friends, buy somebody drinks, you know, try to hit on some ladies. You know, that's why you go to the bar and just have a good time. So typically I wasn't really, you know, getting thrown out of bars because I wasn't acting like an asshole to people. However, there was one time, the story of the Ritz, right? This is a place we would go to because they had like a, you know, ladies' night, whatever, and everyone would go, all the ladies would go there, dance, whatever. So one night there's this dude, and he I'm just, giving you the description. He's a giant black man, probably like 250, looks like a football player, just solid muscle. And I don't know why he was so pissed, man, but he's just mad. So we're like getting out of the bar's close. It's closing time. Everybody's, getting kicked out. We're leaving. I was with this lady. We had the most amazing like first date, like the day before. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was like a movie, dude. Like one of those things, like a rom-com.
I should have married her.
I swear to God, bro. It was like we hung out all day. We drank at the Ritz, as a matter of fact. I'll just give you the little recap at the end of the night, right? It starts raining, just pouring rain. This is before Uber or anything like that. And we're like, hey, let's just walk to her apartment because she didn't live that far. So I was like, hey, I'll just give you a piggyback ride. So I just gave her a piggyback ride through the rain, get back to her crib. She's like, oh my God, I'm so cold. I'm going to take a hot shower. She's like, do you want to get in? I know you've got to be cold too. We'll just say, lovely evening, right? Next day we go out. We're leaving. We're having an amazing time, laughing, great connection. This big old black dude is just trying to fight everybody. And he's out there just like, yo, what's up, man? You want to go? You want to go? Just like to everyone. And he bumps into me. And like, I'm literally trying to get in the cab with the homie B and this girl. And we're going to leave, exit. And I'm like, got the cab door open. And he's like, yo, you want to go? And I turn around. I'm like, bro, nobody wants to fight you. I was like, look at you. Like, nobody's trying to fight you, dude. Yeah. And that's all I said. Right. And I was really just trying to, hey, man, like nobody wants to fight you. And so I turn around to get in the cab and then just like, I didn't even see it coming. Just bow, knocked out, hit my head on the curb, bounced my head off the curb. I mean, fucking out. Like Brendan is like there watching the whole thing. He's like, dude, you were snoring, drooling. Like
did anyone go fight him for you?
Yes. Ooh. Brendan like beat the shit out of him. And then the bouncers jumped on that dude and kicked the shit out of him. Cause like I said, like they all knew us.
Okay, cool.
That's cool. And they were like, yo, you're tripping. That's the homies. He was literally just saying nobody.
Brendan was kind of a loke, but like,
yes.
That's just crazy.
But he was like on the other side getting in. So I just happened to be like right there as the cab pulled up, like getting in. Yeah. And this dude's just trying to fight. I just said, hey, nobody's trying to fight you because he bumped into me. And I just turned around. I was like, hey, man, I don't want any beef. And that ended up with me slept. And then after that, there's something about, women you just knocked out and convulsing on the concrete that I think just kills any other romance. So
that didn't work out afterwards.
Yeah. We, hung out a little bit, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like, you just know.
They saw you at your worst.
Yes. At my absolute worst.
God dang. I don't even
But you know what I mean?
I actually feel sad, bro. Like that's like, and so people don't understand, like, I mean, obvious you made it this far, right? But like the concussion, CTE, like all these different things that happen from that type, like that's like getting in
people
a car
die
accident.
from that.
Yeah.
Like people literally die. Cause like my friend was like, hey dude, your head hit. It was like cab is right here, curb is right here. So literally I just fell, boom, hit my head on the curb.
Did that dude get arrested or anything?
Yeah, he got arrested. Like the cops came. I think they arrested him, took his ass to jail, and he got his ass beat because Brennan jumped on him and then all the bouncers jumped on him. But, I wasn't there for all of that. I was out, man. That was one of those like worst because I've been knocked out so many times. I'm not even going to lie. Most of it was like just being a kid and like riding my BMX bike and just doing wild stuff. But yeah.
I've only been knocked out once, and that was from riding my bike. I went into I was riding into a ditch, and instead of pulling my tire up when I needed to, it was like this, and it just went boom, and I just flew off. And then I just remember kind of waking up like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a similar thing that I did to knock myself out.
I've gotten like the blur, like one time when I was super young, got hit with a dirt clot, and it was just like, oh, but I wasn't knocked out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the 80s, man.
I almost got knocked out sparring one of my coaches though, because
that is the only time I've ever been knocked out by a punch.
And it was totally in controlled sparring, super controlled.
But what happened was zigged when you should have zagged.
Ducked and went right into like his shin. And I was just like, oh, but I was just like kind of dazed. And he's like, oh shit, are you all right? And because he wasn't going, if he was going full force, I would have been sleeping. That's when you see UFC and you're like, that's why like I sometimes struggle watching UFC because taking involvement in jujitsu and striking.
You know what the consequences are.
Yeah, like it's just, and it's like you can be kind of nice with it, but it's just like you just one mistake and it's an L. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I got
we kind of went off on a tangent there at the end there, but hey,
enjoy this.
Enjoy it. Have you ever been thrown out in the streets at a bar for acting a fool or maybe not acting like a fool?
Actually, I got one I want to show you next.
Okay.
I think this Jeff Foxworthy one. It just popped in my brain. Anyways, yeah.
All right, it's the 40s. You know what time it is. If you like this one, tune in for the Jeff Foxworthy reaction. Peace.
Thank you for being some man. 40 years down the road, back again. FUQ boy.